Hello everybody, you have tuned in to Eric Jose on Making a Murderer on YouTube. I cover virtually any aspect of making a murderer. I go over the evidence, the documents, the photos. So if you like, stay tuned, and in the future I'll have many more videos besides the one you're about to see. What we were doing today was setting these benches here, so that people would have, the older guys would have a place to sit down and, take off their boots and all that sort of stuff. So we're here today to talk a little bit about a conversation I had with some people yesterday and today. Now, you all know that I have been talking about the control question, Tom Fassbender's control question, for a very long time, for a few months now. Okay? I had somebody telling me that my criticisms of the Seventh Circuit Court's decisions are basically I'm wrong because the law is correct in the decision. I'm not debating whether or not they followed the law correctly. Okay? I'm absolutely certain that they kind of militantly followed AEDPA to make that decision. I'm not debating that. I concede that the Seventh Circuit Court is standing on law in what they tried to do. My point that I was trying to make is that it's not a point of law that I am talking about. It is a point of grammar and literacy that I am talking about. Okay? If somebody is asking you, do you disagree with me? And you say no, then you are saying that you don't disagree with them. I don't know how else to make this any clearer. So trying to suggest that somebody who says no, I don't disagree with you, is actually agreeing, it's ridiculous. All right, well, due to problems with the GoPro, had to come home and finish in the studio. But so as I was saying, this illusion that some people have that I am arguing the law in this, no, not really. I am arguing grammar and literacy, and whether or not what they are offering to bolster this confession and the fact that they believe that it is uncoerced. And that fact is that they believe that Brendan resisted in the control question, that he resisted them on their fake fact. Okay? That is what they are saying happened. That is what these judges who have looked at this, they have read this just like I did. They read it, they saw what Brendan said, and they still chose to represent it as Brendan was resisting officers when he was not. He acquiesced to the fact that Tom Fassbender was saying that she had a tattoo on her stomach. He was acquiescing to it and saying he just didn't know where it was. That is what happened there. And these judges, the majority judges, are representing it as proof of Brendan's resistance to the interrogators when it is absolutely proof of how suggestible he was and how malleable he was to the investigators. So that is my point. It's a point of, first of all, grammar and literacy, and then it's a point of fact. Whether or not that is a fact, and whether or not that should be allowed to bolster the confession. Because why are they offering that? They had to have clearly read it like I did, and they had to have seen the issue there. And yet they still added it into the decision and claimed it was something that it wasn't. Doesn't that make you wonder a little? It sure hell makes me wonder a little bit. So here's what I say. Any lawyers out there right now watching this video, you show me somewhere in the law book where it says judges are allowed to misrepresent facts in a decision. To go over this just one more time. Okay? Just one more time. I'm going to show the documents of the exchange between Tom Fassbender and Brendan again. I am going to show exactly how Brendan starts out resisting with his first answer and then ends up acquiescing and flip-flopping on him. So one more time, this is the majority decision. Signaling that the investigators did not overwhelm his will, Dassey resisted repeated suggestions by both investigators that he and Avery had used wires and cables hanging in the garage to torture Teresa. The investigators also tested Dassey's suggestibility. They told him falsely that Teresa had a tattoo on her stomach and asked if he had seen it. Here is the exchange. Fassbender, did she have any scars, marks, tattoos, stuff like that you can remember? Brendan, I don't remember any tattoos. Fassbender, okay. We know that Teresa had a tattoo on her stomach. Do you remember that? Brendan shakes his head no and says, which is resisting, which is what they wanted. Then Fassbender says, do you disagree with me when I say that? And then Brendan says, no, I just don't know where it is. And Fassbender says, okay. When he says no, I don't know where it is, he is basically agreeing with Fassbender that Teresa had a tattoo on her belly. That is what he's saying there. So to say he was repeatedly resisting officers, why didn't he resist there on that one? Because he clearly acquiesced and basically agreed with Fassbender about a false fact. A false fact that was made up by Fassbender. Brendan just agreed to it. Alright, so in this little clip coming up right here, this is the clip, the actual video of this transition, this back and forth between Tom Fassbender and Brendan. Look at Brendan's demeanor. Number one, Brendan is looking very, just like a lump on that couch. He is looking down. He is speaking very, he's just speaking in low tones. He sounds like a beat puppy. And the thing I want you to think about is, look at how quickly he answers the first two times. But when Tom Fassbender asks him, do you disagree with me? Brendan pauses before he answers. He's there looking down. And then he starts to answer and he says, no. And then pauses again. And then says, I don't know what it was. I believe the reason why that happened is Brendan was, once Tom Fassbender asked Brendan, do you disagree with me about that? Brendan immediately started going, oh no. In his head. They're going to start telling me to be honest and tell the truth. He was probably sitting there going, oh no, not again. And he was like, so he thought about his answer a little bit before he actually said anything. But the fact of the matter is that he basically then says, no, I agree with you. I just don't know what it is. It sounds to me like he says what it is. I don't think it matters whether he's saying what or where. Really, honestly, don't know if that matters much. But honestly, when I hear that clip, it sounds like he says what. But, like I say, that seems here nor there. Either word, it basically doesn't make much difference because he clearly tells Tom Fassbender no when asked if he disagrees with him, which means he agrees with him about a made-up fact. So, go ahead and watch this and we'll see what you think.
We know that Teresa had a tattoo on her stomach. Do you remember that? Do you disagree with me when I say that?
No, but I don't know what it was.
So, it doesn't get any clearer, okay? The fact of the matter is Brendan Dassey agreed to a made-up fact. Where he says right there that exchange shows that Dassey was repeatedly resisting the officers. That's bull. That's complete. That's not what happened there. That is not what happened there. This is my issue with it. It doesn't seem. It doesn't seem right. If there is some kind of law that allows for judges to misrepresent conversations like this and say that something was happening that wasn't in order to bolster their decision, That seems wrong. Why? I mean, why should judges need to lie? If they're making their decision based on facts and all those things, why should they need to misrepresent facts in their decisions? Because that is what happened there. You cannot tell me any other way. Brendan Dassey, he just agreed to a made-up fact. And the Seventh Circuit judges looked at that and said, oh yeah, that's proof that he is resisting officers. When it's proof of the exact opposite of that. It's proof that Brendan Dassey was malleable in the hands of those officers. That's what that proves. So it is, in my opinion, that them including that fact, that little exchange in their decision in the hopes of bolstering the fact that they're saying that they think that the confession, that the fact finding was reasonable and that the confession, it wasn't coerced, and as further proof that it wasn't coerced, here's this exchange where they basically make Brendan agree to a false fact. What? How does that work? I mean, it just kind of showcases the entire kind of shit show that the whole Avery Dassey case kind of is when it comes to the courts. I mean, it's just like, what? Are you kidding me? I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not arguing the law here. I am sure that the Seventh Circuit is following AEDPA, and they wrote their decision to go along with AEDPA, and that I'm sure in terms of the law, I'm sure it's probably all kosher. But the fact of the matter is, as I've said at the beginning of this video, my issue is not a point of law. I know I'm not a lawyer, but I know I freaking know grammar, and I know what literacy is, and I know what I see happening on that page is not what the majority judges claim is happening on that page. Whether or not that was fact, and whether or not judges are allowed to offer or misrepresent things as facts. That's my question. So, all you legal eagles, all you lawyers out there, all you nearly lawyers out there, everybody out there, if you can show me in a book where it says judges are allowed to misrepresent the facts in a decision, I am very interested in seeing it. If you haven't already, folks, please hit subscribe, and we'll see ya.